Hello, everybody, and welcome to a spoiler roundup. I'm joined by two extra people today, which is super exciting because normally I do this crap by myself, but now I gotta hang out with Daniel and Beer and we gotta talk about the new cards. So this one's probably going to be a little bit longer, but we're not, as always, going to do deep dives into the cards that were spoiled. Instead, we're more so just going to chat about our thoughts on them and then what we think it might mean for the remainder of the set that's coming here as well. We're going to start with the first and probably most exciting card that has been spoiled. And I'm talking about the entire frickin' set for a multitude of reasons. And this is Jim Culver. You heard that right. Jim Culver, former investigator, is now a current ally. 4-cost asset, soaks for 2 and 2. You get +1 brain, and as a reaction, after you take damage and or horror, exhaust Jim Culver, draw 1 card.
He breaks a lot of new ground for A, being a level 0 Mystic Ally that gives an unconditional +1 will. 2, having the amount of soak he has, and 3, being reliable card draw in Mystic. That's like 3 unprecedented things rolled into one musical package.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Like, this guy, can you compare him to the Arcane Initiate from the original core set? Right, you don't have to worry about that whole playing around with Doom issue, which was an upside for some investigators, mind you. And it only drew spell cards, but you're doing a search. This just seems like the complete package where you don't need to worry about anything. Just put it into play, and it'll do the thing.
I think this card is insane. I think it's on par with Olivier. I think that we knew that ally was going to be very strong, but this card is... I think actually realistically one of the strongest cards like ever made for Arkham. It's just insane. With all that said, if someone at your table wants to play Jim Culver, I think the investigator should take priority if you're playing Legacy. So it's one of those things where like I think he's an auto include, but I do think that for the kindness of the people you play with, he should be the investigator should take priority. So if someone wants to play regular Jim or parallel Jim, ally Jim needs to sit in the corner.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm also happy that core set has a +1 stat booster for each stat in each relevant class, because we got Logan, we got Dorothy, we got Olivier, and now Jim.
Yeah.
And
this guy's more relevant.
And with Alexei doubling down on the health and sanity.
It is interesting, right? The rest of the other ones only have either 1/1 or 2/1. Soak? Well, 2/2 for Alexei, but that's still different.
Yeah. I think it's Jim gets that investigator boost, you know, because he's a former investigator. They got to make him... Like, I think, so this is actually a good thing that Lucas is asking. Do you think these allies that were investigators should have abilities similar to the investigator they originated from? I think that that's what I did when I designed all of them for fun. And I feel like it actually is too limiting. It's too restricting to kind of have that. It's like if this was a Jim Culver that was like, after you reveal a skull token, draw a card, everyone would be like, yay, it's Jim, right? But
I know that guy.
Yeah, now this is like an actual, I think, interesting card that uses an investigator that we all like know and love, and in some cases love for the wrong reasons, and lets him be like a game piece that people can play with. And
if you think about it in the scope of Chapter 2, they're kind of making new identities for the investigators, like Trish now having the extra evasion. If they just made Jim an investigator or an ally who only cared about skulls again, you'd wonder, well, why is he back when they could have done anything else?
Yep. And as well,
with this new identity, it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I also said this in a previous stream where I think that Jim Culver was the best investigator that they could have started with this as an ally. I actually can't think of another investigator that would have been as impactful from the community to actually have be an ally, just because of his Jim Culver's sort of meme personality or like meme reputation that he has on the internet.
Let me give a slightly different take here on all of this. I think this card's very good. I mean, this is not a question about that. And I think in Chapter 2, if this is who Jim is, that's cool. From the legacy standpoint, I always thought it was kind of sad that they didn't try. I mean, okay, I don't know about try. I have no information about this, but that they never really made the payoff for Jim doing what he wanted to do. They didn't really put much in there, right? It was kind of this design didn't work so well, and let him go. Parallel Jim, I think, works very well because there's a lot of support for curses, and the skull thing on the side is fine too. And this represents a bit of like, we're not going to release anything else to try to help old Jim. We're moving on. And that's fine because Chapter 2 is allowed to do that. And to me, it also feels like Chapter 2 is a clean break from Chapter 1, at least for me, is justified by this kind of change.
In a way, they gave him like a New Orleans jazz funeral where it's a somber procession for the end and now the joyful party afterward.
Yeah. Yeah. With all that said, though, I actually would not be surprised if we did see another Jim in the future, like an investigator, because as far as I'm concerned, when this came out, I'm like, oh, the gloves are off. They're just doing what they want to do here, which I think is exciting. But,
I totally agree. I think we could get a Jim investigator. We could still get a. I mean, we have the problem with Andre Patel anyway.
Yep.
So there's going to be some rules about that, and that's fine. So I don't mind seeing investigators as allies or vice versa in the future. It just means that I don't know, like just do that if you want to. Sounds fine with me.
Yeah. Well, and also I think is going to benefit at least in like the legacy environment, and then in the current and Chapter 2 environments going forward. That thing that we talked about in a video that is not going to be coming out for a little bit on the channel, but your concept of like the session 0 for building your decks as a group, I think that can really benefit from this exploration, right? But at the same time, I understand the designers also, they're not going to come to your house if someone does want to play Jim Culver with Jim Culver. They're not going to make you stop, right? They didn't stop us when we did Mecha Rollin', so they're not going to stop you here. All right. Sick card, though, but we'll keep this moving to our next card, which I'll find eventually. Yes, Will of the Cosmos, a 0-cost event, Insight Augury, place 1 Doom on a player card you control, then discover 1 clue your location and 1 clue at another revealed location. So this is kind of like down the rabbit hole. Not down the rabbit hole, sorry. Drawn to the Flame. Yep. And I think this is a very engaging change here.
I love it.
I want to play with this card yesterday.
And before we talk about the mechanics, just that art is amazing.
Yes, the art's very good. Yeah.
So here's what I want to do with this card. I want to put a Doom on the jumpsuit and then discard the jumpsuit, get something back from the discard pile, and get my clues. That sounds really cool.
That sounds very cool. I love it. Yeah. I mean, also, I think, like, the Survivor Mystic, this is something that, like, we talk about a lot on the channel, which is, like, the cross, like, the boundary lines between classes, right? How, like, you see those boundary lines between Mystic and, like, Seeker, Mystic and Rogue, right? And I feel like the boundary line between Mystic and Survivor for the longest time was just the ability that they soak well together. They're both classes that like taking damage and horror, right? But this is like a new area that wasn't really explored in the legacy environment, which is the idea that, yeah, survivors should have the easiest way of removing Doom from play, right? So like a Doom-based Mystic with a Survivor Splash, in theory, should have the easiest time with Doom management, right? And now that we actually have some assets that are easily removable, like easily removable from play, and you get upside while doing it, this opens up a new boundary line between those classes that wasn't really touched on before, which I think is very interesting.
And just using this with any class that can have multiple hand slots or multiple spell slots, you can just push something out of slot and the Doom is going.
Yep.
I mean, I do like Drawn to the Flame a lot still, and I think this is like similar but different in a way that's cool. I think that's good.
Yep. I think this card's going to be played for a very long time. I think it's a really, really nice addition to the core pool. Okay. What does my chicken scratch say? Okay, Mask of Silenus. 3 cost, 1 experience. Uses 3 charges as a reaction when you would reveal a chaos token. Spend 1 charge. Reveal 1 additional token. Choose one of those tokens to resolve and ignore the other. If you resolved a token with a symbol, take 1 horror. And it takes up the hat slot, which goes back to your video, Daniel, about why the hat slot actually matters. Because now masks are not just limit 1 mask per play. I mean, the old ones are. But this one is a reason that you can actually replace this mask with other masks that don't have the limit 1 mask in play.
Mm-hmm. And this one has the unique symbol, so you can't just put a new mask on. That's the same mask of Silenus. So
yeah,
makes sense.
And for those of you who may not remember, Silenus is one of the 3 factions in War of the Outer Gods.
The one that you always get because people don't like discarding cards. Just so you know, if you play a multiplayer, you always end up fighting this guy at the end.
Yeah. And this, I think, is FFG original, right? They designed that for that scenario?
I think so, yeah. I think all 3 of them were.
Yeah.
So this is basically the grotesque statue or whatever it is, the little guy that was in the core set that was just like token manipulation. I think what's very important here is to look at what are the defining features of the Mystic class, and they're giving you in the base, hey, you can still do token manipulation. It's just actually it's in a less competitive slot, which I think is a very nice change to have for the Mystic class.
Yeah, this guy's almost identical. There's a few wording changes to the level 2 grotesque statue, which was very hard to play because of the hand slot. So I like to see this here.
Yep.
So in your professional opinion, Daniel, does the wording hold up to the clarity that you want?
It's the same wording as the original one. So as far as like reveal and resolve, no, it's no different. But like the problem was always on shriveling itself, or the cosmic flame, the new one. I think there's something extra about reveal additional token compared to choose 1 instead of the 2, but that's not as relevant to my big issue. But yeah, I think it's nice to have this card for token manipulation at all. The only other difference with grotesque statue is that one self-discarded.
Yes.
So this one, you can do the whole switcheroo thing with Dexter, right? With the rogue card that we saw a week or so ago.
Yeah, the prestidigitation. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Man, my writing is abysmal. I think it's this one. Yeah, Lucky Charm. 2 cost asset, takes up the accessory slot, soaks for 2 horror, uses 4 charges, as a lightning bolt, spend 1 charge and exhaust Lucky Charm. Move 1 damage or horror from a card at your location to a card you control with a health or sanity value.
Yeah.
This card scares me. And
why?
Interactions with damage, yeah.
And, well, not just that, but in my own campaigns, I have used horror on locations to mark something or other. And if you can move that horror off, then that is going to change things.
I think you're okay on that, because when you use damage or horror as representing other things, like in the hospital in Dream Eaters, where it's like an infestation, it's no longer considered to be damage or horror, so you shouldn't be able to move those sorts of things.
That's good intel.
Shouldn't, but if I confused it, I know other people will.
Yeah. But that's yeah. I mean, the big thing that I did, people said that you can use this on the victims in Longest Night, because you can like suck the damage off of them.
That is very powerful.
Yeah.
You can also heal enemies.
Yeah, you can heal enemies. Let's go. I didn't want you to die.
Or if for some reason you need to heal for what's it's in Dogs of War, you can do that.
Yeah, the bull statues. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think ultimately interactions like that are fine to have, right? It might cause issues down the road, but at the same time, I think that it's just if it happens, it happens, right? I think that this is a really nice piece to have for like a support mystic, where you can like heal your teammates and then maybe get some like some bonuses from it. One thing though is I'm pretty sure, and you guys will know more, moving damage isn't taking damage, so you don't get to draw cards with Jim Culver, but the Cloak of Resonance is when horror is placed on it. So it's actually a way that you could use it to trigger the Cloak of Resonance, which is really cool.
Especially with Izzy, who's taking direct horror.
Yeah, or get more uses out of it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like the intended usage here. So it's interesting as a replacement Holy Rosary that like the +1 willpower moved to the ally slot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's overall, I think it's an interesting change too, because the accessory slot in the Mystic class has been very like locked in for the longest time, right? It was just like at level 0, it was like play one of these, and even finding people who play not those in their level, like their scenario 8 decks are fewer and far between than there should be, right? So I think just taking the brain boost out of there is really nice.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, those 8 scenario campaigns I'll be playing. No, I'm just kidding, just kidding.
Derby K does have a good point there. He says that there's a lot of soak in these sets. I just wonder if there's going to be a lot more enemies, a lot more attacks, a lot more damage and horror flying around.
That's what I have been saying, that this pack feels more violent than the previous ones. There's more of an emphasis on surviving and fighting than we had in the original core.
Fine with me.
Yep. Yeah, like even like just like with Joe Diamond, like the only person we have in this set that can't, like, who's not designed to fight is Trish, right? And I think that's very interesting. And Commodore said I was crazy.
Healing.
You're crazy.
Well, you still might be crazy, but just not
that's
that
true. Yeah,
kind of
I'm
crazy.
also crazy. Yeah, we're both crazy.
Yeah. We've seen no healing cards, right? This is just movement. I think there's Joe's signature card is about it, other than bandages.
Yeah, Alexi would be the only other combo that we have here.
Alexi, right? Yeah.
Which is
so
very good.
Alexi is good.
But I think this one's very designed with having the 4 charges, right? It is limited. But you can probably find ways to refill it, right? I imagine there's going to be some charge refilling stuff there. Okay. Next card is a weakness. Pursued, which has, I love this art. I love when the art is kind of like silly, how like this one is, right? But Pursued, Revelation, put Pursued into play in your threat area. Forced, after an enemy enters, moves into or spawns at your location, take 1 horror as a double action, discard Pursued.
So we've seen 3 weaknesses now that have this. After something happens, take a damage or horror. This is our first take a horror one. Double action discard.
Yeah.
I love the reminder text.
Yeah, the reminder text is very good. Yes, that's a very nice addition there. I think these weaknesses as a whole are pretty fair. I think that it provides the players an interesting choice of, do I remove this now or do I risk it? And I think there's varying levels of like risk with each of those, right? It's one of those ones where I can see players being like, I'm going to get rid of Pursued right away. And then I can see players being like, no, let's advance the game. And then suddenly they've taken an extra horror and they're like, ooh, but now we don't really have the time to get rid of it, which I think is very interesting. And I think very nice from a basic weakness set.
Yeah, I think these are all so tough that as long as I'm not in the middle of something else, I have to get rid of it right away. Imagine in a higher player count game where this is not once per round, like the what was it? The Wounded was like the first time you move or something.
Yeah, Wounded is the first time you move. Yeah,
every time. So like everyone draws an enemy that spawns at your location. Ouch. You could put the horror on the cloak, though. You
could put the horror on the cloak, start deal 1 damage to one of those enemies. But yeah, no, I think that's good from the basic weaknesses because they are menacing. And some of my favorite weaknesses are stuff like the the one that's the discard a card at random at the start of your turn, where you're like, I can manage this, and then suddenly you're like, I should not have managed this. And I feel like these fall into a very, very similar space. How does it work with Swarm?
You're
bad news. If it works good with Zoe, yeah, it works bad here, yeah.
Okay. It has a terror trait, which is important.
Yes, which we should get to as our next card here. Which is Augur of Elgos. So, investigate. This is, 2 cost, 3 experience, spell augury. Investigate using your book. Add your brain to your book for this investigation. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue your location. If you succeed and a token with a symbol was revealed during this test, you may discard a terror or hex treachery from any investigator's threat area.
Yeah. Well, first off, I can say that the art is kind of cool, and it's the symbol there is the same symbol as I think in the box itself for the campaign, like the collector card that we saw before. That's the symbol that's used in upper right hand corner.
I mean, from looking at earlier Fantasy Flight posts on their Instagram, Elgos seems to be the end boss of the Brethren of Ash.
Yeah, that's because there was the Yule log, right? That was yeah. So that's cool.
As a baseline, it's pretty much read the signs, but I think read the signs was already too good for level 0, so I'm glad to see it be adjusted.
Yeah, so this one's very interesting, and it's kind of weird in the order that we recorded the videos today, because we kind of already touched on Augur of Elgos, and it's because of YouTube time. That video won't be out for a bit, so I'll retread some thoughts on that here. I think this card represents an awkward evaluation like Sledgehammer, where we look at this and we say, oh, this seems overcosted for what you get, right? But if in the long term, in Chapter 2, this is actually like where this effect now lives, it might allow us to look at Augur of Elgos with different eyes, right? So I think that because I think this card, I think it's the effects are good if I put my thumb over the top left part of the card, right? And then when I remove it, I'm like, ooh, like it's not terrible, but it seems to be above where I want to be. With that said, the bottom effect, I agree, Holy Helicopter, right? The token manipulation to be able to discard terror or hex treacheries is very powerful, but it also is a little bit limited because you need to have some campaign knowledge to use it all the time. You need to be building around it, but I think in the shell that like lives in, it's a very nice effect.
I wonder why it isn't just like in play, right? Because there's, at least in Chapter 1, there are terrors or hexes that could be elsewhere. But
don't know.
There are a few, like in Circle Undone, the ones that go next to the
Terror in the Night.
Like Terror in the Night, yeah. You know, small thing, but I just as far as like Alter Fate being attached to Read the Signs, if it triggers, and this actually hits weaknesses too, like the card we just saw, that's very, very good.
Yeah.
And even if they're not bringing back Frozen Fear, if they have something comparable, I want it out of my threat area immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, with that said, well, actually one of my favorite things that Duke talked about in the live stream that just happened was the fact that they came in with the intention of designing the encounter card sets to be like targeted. So it's like, here is the one that eats actions. Here is the one that discards cards, so they can just like put that in to like expand on themes that already exists in the scenario encounter set stuff. I think that's a better approach than what was in the original core, and I think that means that it's more likely that maybe, hey, Augur of Elgos might be more playable because of that.
I think that the symbol part of this, right? So token manipulation being in the card we saw earlier today, being important, I think, and then Premonition, someone also mentioned that, we should talk about that too, means that you probably always can make this work if you really want to, but you need to be playing those other cards too.
Yep, 100%.
That is a fun interaction, though. Use Premonition and then use the Mask of Silenus for it.
Oh yeah, just I want more. All right, Dare BK will have the other spoilers here because they're not up on Arkham Build yet because they came out like pretty early in the morning. But we got Premonition is
I guess
back.
I jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah, Premonition is back and in it's like not Pog form. Is the art different? I know the art's not different, but there's something I feel like this might be like a
different.
Yeah, the framing. It's like the
I'll look at the old one. Hold on.
Oh no, it's the reds.
I think it's just brighter.
Yeah, they just
zoomed out a bit more.
Yeah, no, it's zoomed out. It's zoomed out. Yeah, that's the difference. Because the reds are still the same.
Looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy's got baby arms on his head.
Yes. He does have baby arms on his head. I don't have too much to say about Premonition. I think it's a good card. It's great for level 0 decks. If you have any token manipulation or like you're looking for tokens, it's nice. It also is kind of secretly like the survivor skill that says someone passes their next test, right? The playing it during it, yeah.
I like this card way more than I should probably, but I like it because it is a great planning tool. Because there is a player window when the investigation phase begins before anyone takes their turn. So you can play it here, find out what the first token is, and say, is it a good token? Okay, then the person who really needs to do this one thing will use that token and they go first.
Yep.
Is it a bad token? All right, I'll go first and burn it on an investigation that doesn't matter or something like that.
Another use that Travis uses it for that I like is when someone has to take like a Frozen in Fear test, we put the Premonition in, or like a scenario test, and being like, okay, what do we need to commit here to pass it, right? Yeah. And sometimes it's nothing, and you're like, let's go! But I think this is a nice core set card.
Yeah, it's so funny. So you and I did a video about the Survivor cards earlier this week. Oh my God, it seems like an eternity ago, Justin. About Hunter's Instinct, and I was like, I don't know, and you need a plan for this. I don't know what you're recurring quite yet. And you were like, no, this card's great. And I did think it was good. I just didn't know what else could combo with it. And now we're seeing a lot of stuff in Mystic that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So the earlier card that got clues.
Yes.
And then this one I think is pretty decent to recur.
Yeah, it's a nice thing. And then we got one more that is not too exciting. It's another redo here, but it should be. What the hell? This is it. There's no card.
I mean, we think it's manual dexterity, right?
Yeah, this assumption is that it's manual dex, yeah.
Well, she's actually using her hands, unlike the old manual dexterity just being like safe breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish it was Winifred.
It's the same like background art, isn't it? Almost.
Yeah.
As her fixing her plane.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean at this point now, like, they're gonna be here. It's like, could you imagine if they only printed Guts and Perception? There was no Overpower or Manual Dex. That would be funny.
Be wild.
Were there the foot skills on Mystic Week? Yeah, I was actually surprised that it wasn't spoiled during Trish's, but who knows what happens.
I mean, Guts was in Guardian Week. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
All right.
They did change the Premonition text a teeny tiny bit. So
interesting.
It's not huge, but
what was the put into play seal reveal a random. Oh, it's just seal now. Seal a random token from the chaos bag. Yeah.
So if you have two of them, one doesn't eat the token off the other. The old one.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah. Now, what happens if there's two of them out there? I don't really know, but
honestly, I would wager you do both because they're both force effects, right? Yeah.
But both are instead, so would one replace the other?
Yeah, there's an instead problem, yeah. I don't really know, but I guess we'll find out.
Oh, memory issues? You have to remember which one you played first? This is when it's like, oh, fuck. Someone's watching and they're like, oh, shit, no. Oh.
Sorry.
Yep.
It's the first thing I noticed when I saw the score, by the way. It's so funny.
Well, that's your superpower, right?
It's a curse.
Good feeling they'd say just resolve both of them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those were the cards here. That was for the first half through Mystic Week. Thanks for joining me, guys, for this. It was fun to record this with you. You should keep looking up for this next week because there are more spoilers coming for the rest of the Mystic class. And then it's like the box is like done, which is super, super exciting. And then in mid-February, we're going to be jumping into the Investigator starter decks. We're just getting started, folks. That's the real fricked up thing. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.